You're living someone else's life and you don't even know it. Right now, in this very moment, you're operating from a blueprint that was handed to you by other people. Your parents, your teachers, your friends, your culture, they all told you how to think, how to feel, and most importantly, when to feel good about yourself. They taught you that happiness comes after success, that confidence comes after achievement, that you earn the right to feel worthy only after you prove yourself to the world. But what if I told you that every single person who has ever achieved anything meaningful got it completely backwards from what you've been taught? When was the last time you made a decision that actually scared you? Not a small decision like what to eat for lunch, but a real decision that made your heart race and your palms sweat. A decision that could change the trajectory of your entire life. Most people can't answer that question because they've never made one. They're passengers in their own existence, waiting for permission from circumstances to feel the way they want to feel. Here's what nobody told you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not a product of your environment. You are not at the mercy of your genetics or your upbringing or your bank account. You are a choice-making machine, and every single day you choose how to feel about your life. The problem is you've been choosing unconsciously. Your feelings don't happen to you. They happen through you. Every emotion you experience is the result of a decision you made, whether you realize it or not. When you say, I feel depressed, what you really mean is, I am choosing thoughts that create depression. When you say, I feel anxious, you're really saying, I am focusing on possibilities that terrify me. This isn't some new age nonsense. This is basic psychology. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, and whatever meaning you assign to an event determines how you feel about it. Lose your job and you can choose to see it as devastation or opportunity. Get rejected and you can choose to see it as proof of your unworthiness or as redirection towards something better. The event is neutral. Your interpretation creates your experience. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people have this completely backwards. They think the sequence goes, external event happens, then I feel good, then I take action, then I get results. They're waiting for something outside of themselves to change before they give themselves permission to feel successful, confident, or worthy. Successful people understand the real sequence. I choose to feel good first, then I take action from that state, then I create results that match my internal experience. They feel successful before they have the evidence. They feel confident before they have the proof. They feel worthy before they've earned it according to society's standards. This is the secret that changes everything. Let me tell you about Maria. 3 years ago, she was working at a job she hated, living paycheck to paycheck in a relationship that was slowly draining her soul. She had convinced herself that she was stuck, that this was just her life, that maybe some people are meant for greatness and others, like her, are meant to get by. One Tuesday morning, sitting in traffic on her way to another soul-crushing day at the office, something inside her snapped. Not in an angry way, but in a clarity way. She realized that she had been waiting her entire adult life for someone else to give her permission to be happy, her boss to appreciate her boyfriend to marry her bank account to grow, her circumstances to change. But in that moment, in that traffic jam, she made a decision that changed everything. She decided to feel successful before she had any evidence of success. She decided to feel confident before she had anything to be confident about. She decided to feel worthy of an extraordinary life before she had created one. That very day, she started carrying herself differently. She spoke up in meetings like someone whose opinion mattered. She negotiated her salary like someone who brought value. She set boundaries in her relationship like someone who deserved respect. She started dressing like someone who was going places. She began studying and learning like someone who was preparing for opportunity. Nothing had changed in her external circumstances, but everything had changed in her internal experience. And here's what happened next. Within 6 months, she had been promoted twice. Within a year, she had started her own consulting business. Within 2 years, she had tripled her income and was in a relationship with someone who saw her as she had learned to see herself, as someone extraordinary. Did the external changes create her confidence? No. Her decision to feel confident before she had the evidence created the external changes. The feeling came first. The results came second. But Maria wasn't special. She wasn't gifted. She wasn't lucky. She simply understood something that most people spend their entire lives never learning. You can choose to feel it before you have it. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you consistently imagine yourself as successful, confident, and worthy, your nervous system begins to operate from that reality. You start making decisions from that place. You start taking actions from that place. You start showing up in the world from that place, and the world responds accordingly. This is not positive thinking. This is not wishful thinking. This is strategic thinking. You are programming your internal operating system to match the life you want to create rather than the life you currently have. Most people get this backwards because they've been conditioned to believe that feelings are reactions to circumstances. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be confident when I lose the weight. I'll feel successful when I make more money. They're making their internal experience dependent on external validation.
But what happens when you get the promotion and you still don't feel fulfilled? What happens when you lose the weight and you still don't feel attractive? What happens when you make more money and you still don't feel secure? You keep moving the goalpost because the problem was never the external circumstances. The problem was making your internal experience conditional on something outside of your control. The real secret is this. When you feel successful first, you create the evidence of success. When you feel confident first, you take actions that create confidence-building results. When you feel worthy first, you make choices that someone worthy would make. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. What would you do if you already felt successful? Not when you become successful, but if you felt successful right now, today, in this moment, how would you walk? How would you talk? What decisions would you make? What actions would you take? What would you say no to? What would you say yes to? How would you carry yourself if you already had what you wanted? Would you slump in your chair or sit up straight? Would you avoid eye contact or look people in the eye? Would you apologize for your presence or own your space? Would you speak quietly or with conviction? What decisions would you make if you already felt worthy? Would you settle for less than you deserve or hold out for what you really want? Would you tolerate disrespect or demand to be treated well? Would you play small or play big? Think about these questions. Really think about them, because the answers reveal everything about why you don't have what you want yet. The gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't a gap in your circumstances. It's a gap in your identity. It's a gap in how you feel about yourself. It's a gap in your internal experience. And here's the beautiful truth. You can close that gap today, right now, in this moment. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need to wait for the right time. You don't need to earn it or deserve it or prove yourself worthy of it. You simply need to decide. You need to decide that your internal experience is not dependent on your external circumstances. You need to decide that you can feel successful before you have the proof. You need to decide that you can feel confident before you have the evidence. You need to decide that you can feel worthy before you've earned it according to someone else's standards. This is not about pretending. This is not about denial. This is about understanding that your external world is a reflection of your internal world. When you change what's happening inside, you change what happens outside. Your outer world reflects your inner world. Your circumstances mirror your consciousness. Your results reveal your beliefs. If you want different results, you need a different internal experience first. But this isn't about positive thinking or visualization or affirmations, though those can be tools. This is about understanding the fundamental mechanics of how human achievement actually works. This is about recognizing that success is an inside job and everything you want is waiting for you to feel worthy of it first. When you make this shift, when you stop waiting for your circumstances to change and start changing your internal experience instead, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes different, but because you become different. And when you become different, you create different results. This is the foundation everything else builds on. Without this understanding, you'll spend your life chasing external validation and wondering why you never feel fulfilled. With this understanding, you become the creator of your own experience rather than the victim of your circumstances. But feeling it before you have it isn't just about mindset. It's about understanding how growth really works, how success actually happens, and why some people seem to create extraordinary results while others struggle just to get by. There are principles at work here, patterns that govern how internal development creates external transformation. Feeling it before you have it isn't wishful thinking, it's practical psychology. There's a difference between fantasy and strategic internal preparation, and understanding this difference determines whether you create real results or just live in your head. Success isn't magic. It doesn't happen by accident. It follows predictable patterns that have been repeated by every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful. When you understand these patterns, when you really get how the mechanics work, you stop hoping for success and start engineering it. Think about a farmer. Every spring he plants seeds in soil that looks like dirt. There's no corn visible. There's no evidence that anything will grow. But he doesn't stand in his field waiting to see corn before he believes in the process. He feels confident about the harvest during planting season because he understands the principle. Plant the seed first, harvest comes later. The farmer doesn't wake up every morning and check if the corn has grown overnight. He doesn't dig up the seeds to see if they're working. He doesn't get frustrated because he can't see immediate results. He knows that growth happens underground before it happens above ground. He knows that his job during planting season is to plant consistently and trust the process. Your dreams work exactly the same way. Internal cultivation first, external manifestation second. You plant the seed of your new identity in the soil of daily action. You water it with consistent behavior. You protect it from the weeds of doubt and the storms of criticism. And then you wait for the inevitable harvest. But here's where most people fail. They plant seeds on Monday and expect corn on Friday. When they don't see immediate results, they assume the process isn't working. They dig up the seeds, plant something else, get frustrated again, and spend their entire lives switching from crop to crop without ever giving anything enough time to grow. The most successful people I know understand this principle deeply. They feel successful during planting season. They feel confident during the invisible phase. They feel worthy during the period when nobody else can see what they're building. Why? Because they know something you're about to learn. Every goal has 4 distinct destroys most people's dreams. Phase 1 is planting season. This is pure faith and consistent action without visible results. You're learning new skills, building new habits, making new connections, but nothing looks different from the outside. This is the phase where most people quit because they can't handle the gap between effort and evidence. Phase 2 is growing season. Small signs of progress appear, but you're nowhere near the full result yet. You've lost 5 pounds but need to lose 50. You've saved $1,000 but need 50,000. You've gotten a few small clients but need major ones. This is the second place most people quit because progress feels too slow. Phase 3 is harvesting season. Results become visible and compound rapidly. Everything you planted in phases 1 and 2 starts paying off simultaneously. From the outside it looks like overnight success. From the inside you know it was years in the making. Phase 4 is preparing season. You use your success to plant bigger seeds for the next cycle. You reinvest your harvest. You expand your capacity. You prepare for the next level of growth. Most people quit in phase 1 or 2 because they don't understand that the gap between planting and harvesting is where the magic happens. This gap is not empty time. It's growth time. It's compound time. It's the time when small, consistent actions create massive results. Think about someone who decides to read 10 pages every day. Doesn't sound like much, right? 10 pages. Most people read that much scrolling through nonsense every hour. But 10 pages daily becomes 300 pages monthly. 300 pages monthly becomes 3,600 pages yearly. 3,600 pages yearly is 12 full books.
Read 12 books annually in any field for 3 years, and you'll know more than 90% of people in that field. Do it for 5 years, and you'll be an expert. Do it for 10 years, and you'll be world class. All from 10 pages daily. But here's the question. How do you feel during day 100 when you've read 1,000 pages but still don't feel like an expert? How do you feel during day 300 when you've read 3,000 pages but people still don't see you as an authority? How do you feel during the gap between action and result? Most people feel frustrated. They feel like they're not making progress. They feel like the process isn't working. So they quit and start something else. But successful people feel different during this time. They feel proud of their consistency. They feel excited about their growing knowledge. They feel confident that results are inevitable because they understand the compound effect. This same principle applies to everything. Physical fitness. You don't see muscle growth daily, but training consistently for months creates transformation. Financial growth. You don't see wealth building daily, but investing consistently for years creates financial freedom. Skill development. You don't become masterful overnight, but practicing consistently for months creates competence. The difference between those who succeed and those who quit is emotional management during the compound period. Successful people have learned to feel good about the process, not just the results. They celebrate the daily actions, not just the final outcomes. They feel proud of showing up consistently, not just achieving the goal. But how do you build this kind of emotional stability? How do you maintain confidence when you can't see progress? How do you feel successful during the invisible phase? You build what I call your internal foundation. Think about constructing a skyscraper. The foundation must be deeper than the building is tall. If you want to build a 50-story building, you need a foundation that goes down 50 stories. The taller the building, the deeper the foundation required. Your dreams work the same way. The bigger the success you want to create, the stronger the internal foundation you need to support it. Most people try to build skyscraper results on garage-level foundations. Then they wonder why everything collapses when pressure increases. Your internal foundation consists of 4 components: beliefs, habits, identity, and emotional patterns. Every extraordinary result requires upgrading all 4 areas. Beliefs are the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. If you believe success is for other people, you'll unconsciously sabotage opportunities. If you believe you're not smart enough, talented enough, or worthy enough, you'll stop trying before you succeed. Successful people believe success is inevitable, not just possible. Habits are the daily behaviors that either move you toward your goals or away from them. Most people focus on big actions and ignore small habits. But your habits determine your outcomes more than your occasional bursts of effort. Show me someone's daily habits, and I'll predict their future with stunning accuracy. Identity is how you see yourself internally. Do you see yourself as someone who follows through or someone who quits? Do you see yourself as someone who finds solutions or someone who makes excuses? Do you see yourself as someone destined for greatness or someone meant to get by? Your identity determines your actions more than your goals ever will. Emotional patterns are your default responses to challenges and opportunities. When faced with obstacles, do you get energized or deflated? When presented with opportunities, do you feel excited or terrified? When criticized, do you get curious or defensive? Your emotional patterns determine whether challenges make you stronger or bitter. Most people have weak foundations in all 4 areas. They have limiting beliefs about what's possible for them.
They have inconsistent habits that don't support their goals. They have identities rooted in past failures rather than future possibilities. They have emotional patterns that sabotage success whenever it gets close. But here's what's beautiful about understanding this. You can strengthen each component deliberately. You can choose new beliefs that serve your goals. You can install new habits that create momentum. You can adopt a new identity that matches your aspirations. You can develop emotional patterns that turn obstacles into opportunities. This is where the real work happens. Not in trying to change your circumstances, but in upgrading your internal operating system. Not in hoping for different results, but in becoming someone who naturally creates those results. The way you do this is through what I call the identity bridge. There's a gap between who you are today and who you need to become to create the life you want. Most people try to leap across this gap in a single bound. They try to go from broke to wealthy overnight, from out of shape to fit in a month, from unknown to famous in a week. But successful people build a bridge across this gap. They close it gradually by trying on their future identity today. They start thinking, feeling, and acting like the person who already has what they want. Not in a fake it till you make it way, but in an authentic preparation way. If you want to be wealthy, start making financial decisions like wealthy people make. Study what they study. Read what they read. Think how they think. If you want to be fit, start making health decisions like fit people make. Move how they move. Eat how they eat. Prioritize what they prioritize. If you want to be successful in business, start making business decisions like successful entrepreneurs make. You're not pretending to be someone else. You're practicing being the future version of yourself. You're rehearsing for the life you want to create. You're closing the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. This works because your brain seeks consistency with your self-image. When you consistently think, feel, and act like a successful person, your brain starts finding evidence to support that identity. You start noticing opportunities you missed before. You start making connections you never made before. You start taking actions you never took before. And slowly, gradually, inevitably, your external world begins to match your internal world. But there's something else you need to understand about this process. It doesn't happen in isolation. It happens within the context of predictable patterns that govern all human achievement. Once you understand these patterns, you'll start seeing them everywhere. You'll recognize when you're in a setup phase versus a breakdown phase. You'll know how to handle challenges and maximize opportunities. You'll understand why some people seem to have all the luck while others struggle despite working hard. Everything in life moves in cycles, challenges and opportunities, setbacks and breakthroughs, struggle and success. These aren't random events happening to you. They're predictable patterns that you can learn to recognize, prepare for, and leverage. Most people are reactive. They wait for life to happen to them, then respond based on their emotions in that moment. When things go well, they feel good. When things go poorly, they feel bad. They're constantly at the mercy of circumstances, riding an emotional roller coaster that never stops. But successful people are proactive. They understand that life operates on patterns, and they prepare for these patterns in advance. They know that after every challenge comes an opportunity. They know that after every setback comes a breakthrough. They know that difficulties often intensify right before major success. Why? Because success requires growth, and growth only happens when you're pushed beyond your comfort zone. The universe doesn't expand your capacity by giving you easy situations. It expands your capacity by giving you situations that require you to become more than you currently are. Think about every major breakthrough in your life. Wasn't it preceded by a period of difficulty? Wasn't there a time when things felt harder than usual right before they got dramatically better? This isn't coincidence. This is pattern. The pattern works like this. You set a goal that requires you to grow. Life presents you with exactly the challenges you need to develop the skills, mindset, and character required for that goal. Most people see these challenges as evidence that they're on the wrong path. Successful people see them as evidence that they're on the right path. When you understand this pattern, you stop being surprised by obstacles. You start expecting them. You start seeing them as curriculum rather than punishment. Every challenge contains the exact lesson you need for your next level of success. But here's the key. Your response to these challenges determines whether they make you stronger or bitter, whether they prepare you for success or convince you to quit, whether they become stepping stones or stumbling blocks. When faced with any challenge, ask yourself 3 questions. What is this situation trying to teach me? How is this preparing me for what I want? What skills or qualities do I need to develop to handle this successfully? These questions shift you from victim mode to student mode, from reactive to proactive, from powerless to powerful. The same principle applies to opportunities. Most people think opportunities are rare, random gifts that only come to lucky people. But opportunities are constantly flowing around us. The difference is that opportunities come to those who are prepared to recognize and seize them. Successful people don't wait for opportunities to appear. They prepare for opportunities before they arrive. They develop skills before they need them. They build relationships before they require them. They expand their capacity before they have something to fill it. When an opportunity appears, they're ready. Not because they're lucky, but because they've been preparing. They felt ready before the opportunity arrived, so when it shows up, they can act immediately, while others are still figuring out if they're qualified. This is why some people seem to have all the luck. They're not luckier, they're more prepared. They've been feeling successful, acting successful, and thinking successful for so long that when success shows up, it feels natural. But there's something that will sabotage this entire process if you don't address it directly. Something that will destroy your progress no matter how well you understand these patterns. Something that keeps more people stuck than any external obstacle ever could. Self-sabotage. Right now, some of you are thinking about implementing what you've learned today. You're feeling motivated. You're seeing possibilities. You're ready to make changes. But there's a voice in your head that's already preparing excuses for why this won't work for you. That voice is your saboteur, and it has 3 favorite weapons: excuses, procrastination, and blame. Excuses protect you from disappointment, but they guarantee mediocrity. Every excuse you make is a choice to stay where you are rather than risk where you could go. I don't have time.
Really means this isn't a priority. I don't have money. Really means I haven't figured out how to finance this. I'm not ready. Really means I'm scared of failing. Excuses feel reasonable in the moment, but they compound over time. One excuse leads to another, which leads to another, until you've built an entire identity around why success isn't possible for you. You become someone who explains why things don't work rather than someone who makes things work. Procrastination is fear of success disguised as laziness. Most people think procrastination means you're afraid of failing, but the opposite is true. You're afraid of succeeding because success requires you to become someone new. And change feels scary even when it's positive. When you procrastinate, you're choosing the comfort of staying the same over the uncertainty of becoming more. You're choosing the familiar pain of where you are over the unfamiliar challenge of where you could be. Blame keeps you powerless by making everything someone else's fault. The economy, your boss, your spouse, your parents, your circumstances, anything but you. When you blame external factors for your results, you give away your power to change those results. Blame feels good temporarily because it removes responsibility from you, but it also removes control from you. If your results are someone else's fault, then your success depends on someone else changing. And since you can't control other people, you're stuck. What's the difference between the mentality of success and the mentality of mediocrity? Success mentality asks, what can I learn from this? What can I control in this situation? How can I improve my response? Mediocrity mentality says, this isn't fair. This is too hard. This isn't my fault. Success mentality sees obstacles as puzzles to solve. Mediocrity mentality sees obstacles as evidence that success isn't meant for them. Success mentality takes responsibility for results and looks for ways to improve. Mediocrity mentality makes excuses for results and looks for someone to blame. Success mentality feels excited by challenges because they create growth. Mediocrity mentality feels defeated by challenges because they require effort. Which mentality are you operating from right now? Be honest. When things don't go your way, do you look for lessons or look for excuses? When faced with obstacles, do you get creative or get defeated? When criticized, do you get curious or get defensive? Your answer reveals everything about why you're getting the results you're getting. But here's the good news. You can change your mentality in a single decision. You can choose to catch yourself making excuses and redirect to solutions. You can choose to catch yourself procrastinating and take one small action instead. You can choose to catch yourself blaming others and ask what you can control. The framework is simple. Catch, question, redirect. Catch yourself in the sabotage pattern. Question whether this serves your goals. Redirect to a more empowering response. Catch the excuse. Question if it's really true or just comfortable. Redirect to finding a solution. Catch the procrastination. Question what you're really afraid of. Redirect to taking one small step. Catch the blame. Question what you can control in this situation. Redirect to improving your response. This takes practice, but it's the difference between people who create extraordinary results and people who stay stuck in ordinary circumstances. Now, if you want to create extraordinary results, you need extraordinary daily practices. Success isn't an event that happens once, it's a daily practice that compounds over time. Most people are looking for the big breakthrough moment, the lottery ticket, the viral video, the overnight success. The real success is built through daily disciplines that seem insignificant in the moment, but create massive results over time. There are 5 daily disciplines that separate those who create extraordinary lives from those who settle for ordinary ones. First, morning mind programming. Spend the first 10 minutes of everyday programming your mind for success. Not checking your phone, not diving into problems, not starting your day reactive. Instead, visualize your goals as already achieved. Feel the emotions of success. See yourself living the life you're creating. This isn't fantasy, this is preparation. You're rehearsing success so that when opportunities arise, you're ready. Second, physical movement. Your body and mind are connected. When you move your body with intention and energy, you create confidence and momentum that carries into every other area of your life. You don't need to become an athlete. You just need to move in a way that makes you feel powerful and alive. Third, daily skill development. Spend 15 minutes every day developing the skills you need for your goals. 15 minutes seems like nothing, but it compounds dramatically. 15 minutes daily becomes 90 hours yearly.
90 hours yearly becomes expertise over time. Most people spend more time than that complaining about their circumstances. Fourth, gratitude practice. Appreciation raises your vibration and creates magnetic energy that attracts opportunities. When you consistently focus on what's working in your life, you train your brain to see possibilities rather than problems. This isn't about denying challenges. It's about maintaining perspective and keeping your energy positive. Fifth, evening review. Before you sleep, review your day. Celebrate the wins, even small ones. Acknowledge the progress, even incremental. Learn from the mistakes without judging yourself. Plan tomorrow so you wake up with direction rather than confusion. These 5 disciplines take less than an hour daily, but they will transform your life if you practice them consistently. Not because they're magic, but because they program your internal operating system for success. But here's what's crucial. Don't wait for motivation to start these practices. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances. Start before you feel prepared, because preparation happens through action, not before action. Right now, today, you can do 3 things that will change the trajectory of your life. First, write down exactly how you want to feel when you achieve your biggest goal. Not what you want to have, but how you want to feel. Then make a decision to feel that way starting today. Second, take one small action that the future version of yourself would take. Not a big action that requires motivation, but a small action that builds momentum. Third, tell someone about your commitment. Share your goal with someone who will hold you accountable. Commitment without accountability is just wishful thinking. Small actions create big feelings, not the other way around. You don't need to feel motivated to take action. You take action to feel motivated. You don't wait for confidence to begin. You begin to build confidence. Stop waiting for permission to feel successful. Stop waiting for circumstances to change before you change your internal experience. Stop waiting for evidence before you believe in your potential. You came here today living someone else's life, following someone else's rules about when you're allowed to feel good about yourself. You're leaving here knowing that you can feel it before you have it, that you can create your internal experience regardless of your external circumstances, that you can choose to feel successful, confident, and worthy starting right now. The secret isn't in having more, it's in being more. The secret isn't in waiting for life to change, it's in changing how you show up to life. The secret isn't in finding the right circumstances, it's in creating the right internal state regardless of circumstances. Tomorrow you'll either feel the regret of inaction or the power of beginning. You'll either continue living someone else's blueprint for your life or start creating your own. You'll either keep waiting for permission to feel extraordinary or give yourself permission today. The choice, as it always has been, is yours. But now you know something most people never learn. You don't have to wait to feel it. You can choose it right now, today. Stop waiting for permission to feel successful. Give it to yourself today.